How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Sean Atwood channel. We're live with Victoria Haige once again. We met last week, the week before, Victoria, and we talked about this unbelievable story, the multiple stories, in fact, of mothers who have been silenced, had their children taken away from them, and only to have them handed over to horrible individuals, whether it's family members, the fathers, or to be put into forced adoption. And first of all, thank you so much for coming back, Victoria. And, you know, let us know how you are, but then tell us a little bit about what's been happening since the last time we spoke.
I got inundated with mothers, some that I already know, some that I don't know. And they've given me their own horror stories of what's happened to them within the family court system. So I've been, you know, busy trying to, you know, try and structure something else so that we can take the next step forward, because people can say, oh, well, you know, there's only one woman and it's happened to one woman. But I can now prove it's a systemic, it's systemic. So whenever a mother enters this system, the similarities, the word, the judgments, it's identical. All the cases are a little bit different, but everything all goes to the same point in the same way. It all gets funneled into the mothers ending up losing their children.
And it's so widespread, and that's the thing that's so shocking. And to follow it up with slapping gag orders on these women, so their free speech is gone, their ability to fight is gone, and their voice has been taken away. And hopefully we're going to try and give a little bit of that back this evening. And please, everyone, if you can, please like and share, help us push this out. Now, Victoria has had a little bit of a patchy internet, so I might make her a little bit smaller. We might, you know, do a bunch of things just to save on the screen going crazy. Hang on 1 second, everybody. Where would you like to jump in?
Well, you've put that picture on, so maybe I need to talk about that picture.
Okay.
Okay, so this is me 14 years ago in Ireland with my 1-week-old baby daughter that I saved from the child snatchers that I spoke about last week. Yeah. So she was 14 last weekend, and she's healthy, intelligent, secure, happy, bilingual. She rides horses, she show jumps, she does athletics, she goes on holidays in the summer, she goes to Paris. She has a very full, amazing life. But if I would have given birth to her in the UK, it's probably almost 100% sure that she would have been forcibly adopted out of my care and put wherever, whoever knows what could have happened to her.
It's unbelievable, and it seems barbaric, and it seems so beyond anything that you can rationale. And when you start adding in the fact that some of these poor children are handed over to a father who is at the center of abuse in all of this, and it really is heartbreaking, because you just don't know how many people have fallen victim to all of this.
Well, there's two sides to it, you see. Because my first daughter was taken and given to her abusive father, like I said last week, the second one they can just take, because you've already been found in a secret court by one judge on a probability judgment, that you have emotionally abused your child by coaching these children to say that they've been abused. So they can take the next one with potential future emotional harm.
So what we're talking about here is framing these mothers as so desperate to keep their kids that they're training their children to make up stories in order to stay with the mom. That's how they're trying to frame it, right? It's using the child who's a victim as a weapon to take him from you. And I imagine, sadly, right, and the way the world is, there's people who have probably made things up and done things like this, but this is not the system to combat that. Forced adoption and ripping children from mothers' hands, slapping gag orders on them, secret courts. If I tell you something, if we done the reality of this as a Netflix show, nobody would believe it. They would think that there's no way the world could be so crazy that this mother could have a secret court and all this. But it's true, Victoria, it's true, right? I mean, they freaking threw you in jail.
Well, what I said to the police, listen, I've been accused by a family court judge of coaching my daughter. Surely that's perverting the course of justice. I think you need to come and arrest me and charge me, because I've cost all these taxpayers money, for making all of this up. Please get a case against me. Come and arrest me. Charge me for perverting the course of justice. Never heard anything from these people. Never. So they obviously knew they didn't have a case, because I had enough evidence of abuse, and they knew. And what I've been talking to a lot of the mothers about is that the police, it's the Ministry of Defence, and the social services is the Ministry of Education. But when you have the police, there's no separation of powers. It's like the social services, the local authorities are using the police as their henchmen. They seem to be controlling the police. They also seem to be, from all the stories that I've been gathering over the last week, controlling the judges, because there's some judges in some of these cases that have shut down, family court judges have shut down criminal investigations. Now, how, where, what are the police doing? Why are the police being controlled when they're supposed to be investigating crimes of a sexual nature against a child? So you can see that the whole system is a racket. And I've also been digging, which I already knew a lot of the figures anyway, but the money, the money that's been generated by the local authorities. They have a budget, they have a performance bonus, which it's like any grant. You get the grant if you use the grant, okay? So for them to get their grant, they have to get children on care orders so that they can get the grant, they can get the money from central government. And I'm talking about £500,000 for one local authority. Okay, so the gravy train, like you said last week, Ron, I'd love you to do it. You want to do a map of everything,
Yes. And we need to do a visual. We need to do the process as a visual.
I've got one of the mothers that a lot of these people are a lot smarter than I am. I'm a simple Yorkshire woman that rides racehorses. And so, as you've noticed, trying to get on this channel with all my things, I'm not the smartest, but we've got a dream team together, and we can show you where the money's coming from, where the money's going, the children that are disappearing in the care system. The figures of the local authority of the children that are disappearing are a lot lower than the figures that the police are putting out. that the children are disappearing. For example, the local authority said there's 950 children missing that are in care. And the police are saying, no, that's more like 10,000. Our figures are saying 10,000. So the local authorities are covering their backs because they're not looking after the children. Taking a child into care, they get the care order, they take the child, but then they don't look after the child.
Of course.
You know,
we hear it all the time, Victoria.
Money for old rope.
We hear it all the time. It's an insane system that historically has facilitated some incredibly horrific crimes after these children have been put into foster cares, have been moved on from their loving parents. Well, at least they're one loving parent. And
yeah,
it almost feels like, and you know, tell me if it sound crazy. It's almost like it's a system in place to facilitate the continued trauma of individuals in the UK. Right? It's almost like a trauma machine. That's what it feels like to me. We've got the parents, they're traumatized, and we've got these kids who have gone through horrific abuse in some cases, further abuse in these foster homes. And I just feel like it's facilitating this re-traumatization of the nation almost. And it's scary. It's a scary thought process. It really is, Victoria, because secret courts and gag orders. You sound like you've done high treason, mate. You sound like you've stole the crown jewels, fled to frickin' Hong Kong, like sold the secrets of whatever from the UK to the Chinese. That I would be like, all right, secret courts, gag orders, that makes sense. You're a mother. It's mad. I honestly, there's something going on here. They don't want us talking about this because there's something going on here, well, Victoria. I don't know what it is yet.
The thing is, like I said last week, the only thing that's stopping this system continuing, the only thing that can stop this system continuing is mothers like me that's exposing it, because they prefer these women to unalive themselves so that their system can continue. And it's like Maggie Oliver, John Wedger, you know, if these people didn't keep fighting and became scared of all the blackmail and the threats and the, you know, the being followed and being attacked by the state, we wouldn't know. A great example is Tommy Robinson. Now, if the state would have looked after all those girls when they were reporting all these things, that we wouldn't even know Tommy Robinson. We wouldn't have needed Tommy Robinson. Right. And now what's happened is Tommy just he was relentless. He never stopped. You know, and so now everybody knows Tommy Robinson, which is backfired on the state.
Of course it has.
If they'd have done their job properly, they could have nipped all of this in the bud many years ago.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
What did Tommy Robinson get for his efforts? He got slapped in prison. He got his documentary banned as a part of a plea deal to get early release. And the day he was due for early release, they've rearrested him, charged him with another set of crimes, which was making somebody feel threatened. He made someone on social media feel like they were threatened, and they're banging him up again. They're going to keep him stuck in a perpetual cycle, and it's shocking. It really is shocking.
Well, it happened to me. I mean, I went into a little bit of my story last week, but I have to give you only little bits at a time because it's so bad. You know, you won't believe it all at once. But when I came out of prison after receiving my 3-year sentence, I appealed the sentence and it got reduced to 2 years, 9 months. So I got out and I actually got a tag. I explained all that last week. A few months later, I got recalled to prison. Okay. Something to do with me meeting somebody and talking to them in a bar, a barmaid who actually lived next door to my ex, and I didn't know this woman from Adam, and she came over to me and she was very friendly. Oh, I know you. So then I'm like looking at her, and I'm my partner and the kid don't know this woman. The next thing, I went to my meeting with the probation officer, and I walked in and they're, oh, you look really ill. And I'm like, I feel fantastic, you know. Oh no, you look really ill. And and you've spoken to somebody and you've tried to communicate with your daughter, blah, blah, blah. The next thing, I'm taking my toddler to toddler group in the morning about 8 o'clock. Please arrive and just take me to the custody suite and then send me back to prison. And I got recalled. So I appealed the recall with a guy called David Gale. He's an ex-police officer. So we appealed the recall, and instead of serving 28 days in prison in Peterborough, I served 21, and then they threw me out. And that's quite a funny story, actually, because anyway, that's another story. But they threw me out. But the police came into the prison to arrest me. They came into the prison and I wasn't there. So then they had to come and find me, and they rearrested me and put me back into the custody suite. Because what they do, they trawl. It's called, what's it called? Fishing or trawling?
Fishing. Yeah. So no. Fishing for information, right?
Well, to rearrest you. So they do. Yeah. That's definitely a pattern, because it happened to me. And I had another charge, and I had another criminal case, and I had to accept something, and it got suspended for 2 years or something. But, you know, you have to understand, it's harassment. It takes your life over. It costs you money. And you're forever fighting a machine that has all the money. And this is what I thought when they said they were rearresting Tommy. Look how much that's going to cost him again now.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, harassment in these cases, in your case, in Tommy's case, it's an understatement. Harassment is your neighbor needing a restraining order. This is the state, right? Like, there's nowhere higher to go. There's nowhere higher for the boogeyman and people coming after you than where you're at. I don't understand how you coped with all of that pressure. We're talking about the people following you. This is such a spy movie tactic. It's horrific. How do you cope with all that?
There were police cars parked outside my home as intimidation. There were social workers knocking at my door because obviously I had this little one.
Just to remind everyone, this is because the state, the government, thought you were an unfit mother, okay, after taking one of your kids already from you. Why is this not effort put into individuals who, I don't know, go into little girls' dance studios and unalive 3 little children? Don't tell me that it's because they're not on the radar. They were. Where are the police cars sitting outside their house? Where's the police cars sitting outside any of these potential threats? No, we've got to spend the budget on clamping down on women like Victoria. I'm disgusted and I'm embarrassed to be part of this system in this country. It's really pushing me to a place.
Calm down. The point was that they knew goddamn well that I was not. But I was a successful racehorse trainer that was on TV and in every newspaper almost every week. Well, I mean, you can be an abuser and do all that stuff, but my daughter had a charmed life. My daughter, my first child, we lived in stables, she went to private nursery, she had her own pony, she had her own dog. My partner had 3 children, which stayed at mine every week with the full thing of his ex-wife. We knew each other, so she knew I was a good person. Otherwise she would have never let her 3 children stay with me. And they were young children. They were all okay. So I was not. I wasn't an unfit mother. But it's as soon as you report CSA, the tables turn on you. It's that. And that I know that because all these other mothers.
Let me pause you right there, because this is. Let me pause you right there, because this is so crucial. In the point of your story, where you have spoken to your daughter, that she has told you that things have happened, you've reported it. I just need everyone to understand that was the moment where you became the target. You became the monster in the eyes of the state, Victoria.
Not at first. And a very important point that I've seen the pattern with other cases is private law cases. So these men start private law cases against you to get contact with the child. Okay. And so you're trying to protect your child, and you're trying to keep the child away from these perpetrators of abuse to try and protect your child. And then they start to put these orders on you. So they go to the judge. Then what happens when social services get involved? They change the private law cases to public, and they've done it to other mothers. And what they say is, oh, you know, we're going to change this case to public now, right? And this is the key, okay? Because now they can tap in to all their grants, okay? So we're going to change this to public, and you won't have any more legal fees because we're going to pay for them all. Okay, so then they get all their cohorts, all their lawyers that are all being paid by the local authority, because their cases, when you have a lawyer in private law, normally they don't really work for a local authority. They're very expensive, but they don't work for local authority. Once it becomes a public case, all these lawyers, they're all in the same, they're working for you, but they're not, they're working for them, because that's their gravy train. So you're stitched up, basically, and the similarities between all these cases is like textbook. In fact, they must have a textbook. It's all the same.
So could we argue in some cases that there are these law firms working with these fathers who are working the system? That is basically what we're seeing here, right? Is a working of a system that, yeah, okay.
And it tortures and persecutes. It tortures and persecutes mothers into, and then you see what they can do. It's like a cat with a mouse, okay? You've seen a cat with mice, and the cat just keeps whacking us and scratching. Yeah. We've got blood there, and then it'll come and bite the neck, and we've got bite marks there, you know, and we're being weakened, and we're being played with, and, you know, eventually we either get away or we die. Okay, now I've got proof of both, but let me tell you, these women, I mean, they're so damaged because they've lost their babies. They're so damaged. It's
how
so
the hell
hard.
Do you go back, even if you go through all this and you get your kid back, right? How the hell do you trust anything to do with that country ever again? Ever? How do you trust anything? The doctors, the police, anyone? You can't. You can't.
No, you can't. I mean, you can't.
But hey, listen, don't worry. There's nothing to worry about. We're just going to slap a gag order on you as well, just to really nail home how screwed you are.
Well, if I can tell you a story to,
please do, yeah,
to show you. Okay, so I came back to the UK from Ireland, and I left my baby. She was 3 months old, because I had this criminal case, breach of the non-molestation order, and they remanded me in custody. And I told you that story. It was like the hotel reception. You went into a prison, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" So whilst I was in prison, they had a mother and baby unit, and so I didn't have any mental health issues, no anything, no drug, alcohol, anything. Okay. I was really quite normal. So they came to me. They said, you know, you can go into the mother and baby unit. You can get off this wing and go to the mother and baby unit. Bring your baby into prison. And my baby was safe in Ireland. And I'm like, you can get lost. Bring her into this country on purpose when she's safe where she is. And they sat me down, and there was like 8 people in a meeting, and they were saying, listen, the outside services is the Ministry of Education. We are the Ministry of Justice, and we have our own in-house social worker team.
Yeah, who gives a rat's ass? Who gives a rat's ass? They are trying to pluck your heartstrings in prison because you miss your kid into tricking you.
No, Ron.
Right?
No, listen.
Ron,
So they said,
Victoria, I'm triggered. Okay, I'm triggered. I'm going to mute my mic.
This is a nice story, Ron. This is one of the nice parts of the story. So I said, so what you're saying is, if I bring my baby into the UK, into this prison, it's actually safe. It's safe. Nobody can get in and come in and take the baby. They said, no, you're safe. So actually, because they explained it, I got my baby from Ireland, brought her into the prison. Then what happened? You get logged every single shift. Whoever's on the log, they write all notes on how you are a mother and how the and you know, all the notes with me. And when my baby came into prison, I hadn't seen her for 12 weeks, by the way. It took me and them and everything. So I had my baby. She was 6 months old when I left her, and then I saw her again at 9 months old. And everybody, when she came into the prison, they were all crying. These prison officers were lovely people. You do meet lovely, genuine people along the way. And my baby, she kind of looked at my whole face, like all around it, and then like that. And then, I mean, it's like we were never apart. It's amazing. Mother Nature is absolutely amazing. So then she stayed with me, you know, and she went out of the prison every so often to spend time with her father and family and everything. You know, so sometimes the system does actually work. And I found that the mothers under the criminal justice system were much better treated than these mothers under the family court system. The criminal, they seem to want to help these mothers, but the local authorities, they just got pound signs in their eyes.
Yeah. I basically, I don't know who to trust at this point in your story. I'm glad it worked out well, and it makes sense. You know, I'm not being funny. Like, your baby being locked inside there with you it's pretty safe. I mean, it's pretty safe, but I'd be freaking out, man. I'd be freaking out that like you're going to be asleep.
Yeah, well,
and then
no, you sometimes you have to have a bit of trust somewhere, Ron. You know, but the problem was when I came out, and I was still putting in I got recalled, didn't I? And I was putting in appeals for my other daughter, and they said the social workers kept coming around, knocking on the door. We think that your baby will suffer emotional harm because of all these appeals that you keep putting in. You know, so they were trying to get me any which way.
What does that mean? Are you forcing the baby to read all of these things? Is it a strain? What stress could you putting in a peel on have on the baby at all? Just let me know, because I'm confused. Was she part of your legal team?
It wasn't. It was all to do with, you know, harassment and fear and blackmail. Can you stop appealing? Can you stop? Can you just stop?
You know, stop appealing.
Yeah.
Can you stop?
Don't do anything. Just let us keep making our money and keep using our government grants and making a fortune. And can you just shut the hell up, because you're really starting to get on our nerves? And if you don't, we're going to that baby. Okay, so obviously I had to protect my youngest child because I'd seen how they stole my elder child, so I didn't trust them for 1 second. So anyway, that's a little bit more about my story. It's not all of it, obviously, but
it's, you know, I to be honest with you, I'm actually quite grateful that you're giving me it in little tiny chunks, because the rage that builds up in me after about 2 paragraphs of your story never fails to happen. Now, you know, thankfully, Ron,
we all want to thank you. We all want to thank you, because without you, you know, can you imagine I've told you how many reporters, and it passed all the legals, and it never got print in a newspaper. I mean, certain bits, but really not the whole system. Nobody's printing any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So all these mothers, they're just full of gratitude. They're just like so excited for tonight. They're all there. They're all listening. A lot of them are, and then others are listening,
Well, look, I think what we need is to do a documentary where we tell your story, and in between the chapters of your story, we're telling more testimonies from more mothers and putting this all together into something that we can slap in front of the media's face. For some reason, ever since that, what the hell was his name? Russell Brand. Ever since the Russell Brand documentary came out, and everything that's happening to him now started because of that documentary coming out, I've got a big belief in just slapping documentaries out there, naming everybody, and just seeing what happens.
Which documentary?
So Channel 4 done a dispatches on Russell Brand, and then about a year later he was arrested and is now in trial for several SA charges. But that all came about because of the documentary. Now, we're not going to argue whether or not he was set up or anything like that, but the documentaries are really having, they're back at doing what they should be doing, which is creating a wave, which is, educating people and giving people a voice. And I've got a new documentary coming out next Friday. You guys will hear about that a little bit more on the next show with the Surviving Life podcast. And I just want to say to any of the mothers that are watching here, I just want to help you guys educate everybody and get as many people enraged like me to go and rant about this on their social medias, and we'll give them something to go and post and ruin their friends' weekends with, okay? Which will be the truth of this story, all of your stories, because how in God's name does a known T-word under the suspicion of the government get to go to a little kids' dance school, unalive 3 people, injure a bunch of more, traumatize people, but yet we don't have a budget because we're spending money on police cars outside Victoria's house and stalking these mothers and taking them to secret courts? Somebody's up to something. Somebody is up to something, and we're going to find out what it is, Victoria, and they're not going to like it when we do. I'm telling you.
Well, they don't just stop there, because the mothers that run for their lives with their children and cross borders. I mean, I went to Ireland, but because my baby wasn't born, it wasn't kidnap. I wasn't kidnapping my own baby because she wasn't a baby yet. She was still
right. She was
that's
a fetus.
Why I fled when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay, but the women that have actual babies and they cross borders, they use Interpol to track these mothers down. And I visited a mother in prison in the Isle of Man that fled to Canada with her son, who was being sexually abused by the father. And they sent armed, they found her eventually. They sent like armed men, like police with guns. They took the boy, they flew him back to the UK. She was arrested and she was in prison. And I can remember going to see her in prison, pregnant. And she never really ever got custody back of him. Then you've got another one, which is, I won't say a name, but it is in the public domain because she was all on the news. Well, there's 2 or 3 all on the news. They put them on the news. If you've seen this woman, she's dangerous. She's taken her child, and with fear for the child's safety.
This is bonkers, man. This is enemy of the state stuff. This is. Listen, okay. But you know what? Okay. Let's get some testimonies out, because I'm going to end up breaking something. This is like it's like The Sopranos or something, man. Like I have to keep reminding myself we're talking about mums and their kids. And listen, you can say, oh, maybe it's a class thing, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. We're talking about. I mean, Victoria's a very nice lady who, equestrian horse rider, all this stuff. Like, you can say an above normal nice life. And when we first talked to each other, she was like, Ron, you got to understand, there's no history of like trauma or anything in my family. The more, could you imagine, right? It's one thing, a non-contact order. Okay. That at least people go, oh, what's that? A non-molestation. I mean, the name of it, right? And having to go back and explain, it's just mind-blowing the way all of this is choreographed.
It was awful because it's like I molested somebody. You know, I've never molested anybody in my life.
Right.
But it was passed through Parliament to protect women and children from men. But authorities, because they're so corrupt, they used it to keep mothers away from their own children. You know, they said I breached a non-molestation order when I took my daughter winter coat, all her coats, because it was winter and she had none of her coats.
Oh,
and
man,
I breached the non-molestation order and I was arrested. And I went to her nativity play at school and there were police at the door and they wouldn't let me in.
I need a pillow to scream into. I'm going to release merch, which is pillows to scream into. Okay. Like, I'm not, and it's not even funny. It's not even funny.
It's not funny.
Like,
no, it really is not funny, because then all the other mothers are looking at me and thinking, I'm really dangerous. You know, what they do, they do things to create a thing where everybody thinks you're dangerous or crazy, or, you know, you've lost the plot, or you're...
It's called destroying your character. Okay,
they do everything to destroy your character. Everything.
There's a word for it. There's a word for it, Victoria. It's called espionage. It's called espionage. They are.
Oh, yeah. And what they'll do as well, I noticed this. They'll come at 5 o'clock in the morning and bang on your door.
Yes.
And
of course
and the postman even bangs on your door. I mean, everybody bangs on your door. You like you. If anybody. They don't. It's gone a bit now. But if anybody knocked on my door, I'd start getting. I couldn't breathe. You know.
Yeah.
And but all the neighbours see police banging on your door. You know. And so
at 4 or 5 in the morning as well.
But, man. Yeah. Oh yeah. And they bang. Oh, they bang. Yeah. Yeah. Cars screech to a halt. You know. Bang the car door. You like run up the drive.
Well, look. Just to remind everybody, I really want to get this out there. Doing these shows is great. YouTube is 100% on the side that we are not on. Okay, just to be clear, right? And the last 2 shows with Victoria were demonetized just because of Victoria's name being associated with this. They do not want her talking, all right? At all. YouTube is not going to tell people when we do these shows. They're going to do nothing to help. So that is why we need to make a huge project out of this. This needs to be something that we get collective groups that are support groups for women. Everyone needs to come together and we need to push something out going into, I think we should be pushing this out round about the Christmas time, right? Really hammer it into the mums that are out there round about the Christmas time. That's the evil marketing person inside me, just so you know. You know what I'm saying? Like remind mothers at Christmas about other mothers without their kids at Christmas. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's slap it on them. Yeah. Oh, I'm so angry.
So they've really demonetized this channel.
Oh hell yeah! No. Just the videos. So what that means is YouTube will share this video to 90% fewer viewers. So for every 100 people, they should share it.
I'm obviously above the target then, aren't I?
Yep. Don't get me wrong. You're part of a very elite group of people that I interview. A very elite group of people.
I'm above the target. Well, whoever is in charge of all of this.
Right. Just know, whenever you see a live stream go up that has my symbol on it, right? If it has, so if we're talking about mothers or anything like that, you'll know who's going to be on the show with me. You know what I'm saying? It will always be Victoria, and we're just going to play them at their own game now, Victoria, because we're going to do a third live stream to test my theory, right? And I'm going to change it all up, change everything, and we're going to put it out, and we'll see what the results are. Because that, right, Lenny, right? I mean, you would You would think we were talking about a serial unaliver, right? Like, seriously.
I was MAPA level 3. I was MAPA level 3. Don't ever forget that.
Oh yeah,
I hold
yeah, 100%.
that badge with
Like,
pride.
on paper, Victoria's a badass. Like, on paper, she is not somebody you want to mess with, all right? But in reality, lovely lady. Now, look, I don't want to run out of time. We've still got about 40 minutes left, and I want to give these testimonies, a place to have a voice.
Okay.
And because,
so I'm going to start here, which is not a real name. Okay.
Can you say that? Can you just say that?
After my 5-year-old daughter.
Just wait. Just give it about 10 seconds just to let all of the bandwidth settle, and then just start talking for me, Victoria. Just count to 5 in your head and then start talking.
After my 5-year-old daughter disclosed child abuse and the authorities were informed, our lives were systematically destroyed. The perpetrator was charged with, well, I won't say, yet the case was dropped, citing his word against hers and her being too young for a trial. A finding of fact ultimately blamed me, stating that my daughter was coached, even though there was an independent disclosure and a recorded history of physical evidence. My evidence and witnesses were suppressed by his representatives. Therefore, their vital evidence was excluded from testimony, and my representative did not intervene. It was decided my children would be removed and he was to have custody, even though my son was not even his biological son. An appeal at the Royal Court of Justice failed, and my children were immediately stolen, going into foster care, and then his full custody. My contact was stopped. He obtained an indefinite restraining order, preventing me from exposing my concerns and the failures of my case. I believe his previous position within social services and having a brother in the police force was instrumental in this unjust outcome. I have spoken up and I have been silenced, kidnapped by the authorities and imprisoned against my will 5 times, and I am still forever under threat.
All right, put a 1 in the side chat if we're talking about a woman who betrayed her country and stole national secrets, and put a 2 in the side chat if you think we're talking about a mother who's just looking to protect her child. Okay, because again, do you know what? I'm not going to say anything in between these stories because it's just going to it's coming out as this because I don't know how to process this. I'm going to be quiet again, Victoria.
Okay. He was taken to a family court by an adult boyfriend, not the father of either of her 2 children, and she was never married to the man. Essentially, it was relationship fraud. He alleged he had been a parental figure in the children's lives, which was not true. He asked the court for permission to make an application for a Section 8 to commence family court proceedings. He made an emergency application and it took place on an ex parte basis. He presented to the court a series of wild allegations and untruths in which he flipped the script and portrayed me as an abuser. It was a complete character assassination. He had compiled a dossier over a 2-year period. He stole my posts and files and tried to fabricate a disparaging view of me as a mother. I reckon he spent 2 years planning this. He neglected to mention I had breast cancer. I had a life-threatening illness and surgery 2 years prior to him making an application to the court. He was abusive during this period. He told a very disparaging story and failed to mention that I had cancer and had a near-fatal post-surgical complication. He portrayed me as an unstable woman and mother instead of the truth. I am a successful doctor, all done in my absence on an ex-parte basis. He was given immediate temporary parental responsibility. He said that he was concerned I was going to flee the country to return to my own and that I would prevent him from seeing my children. He is not the father and I was not married to him, yet a judge, after a 7-minute hearing, granted him parental responsibility. I then became entrapped legally, and although the Hague wasn't used formally, the court procedures followed the procedures of a Hague case. He was not only allowed to continue this fraudulent family court battle on fabricated allegations, but was able to embroil me in a legal mess. My son was extradited back to the UK by my off and on boyfriend, essentially. I was gagged. I had supervised visitation and was traumatized by how it was all handled. My children remain traumatized, and it has been an uphill battle to restore the loving and gentle relationships with both of my children. The cost, my legal costs were £500,000.
Listen, I'm not being. Did you say that? Is this the same story, or is this two different stories?
That's two different stories.
Okay, so
ex parte, Ron.
So
Do you understand what ex parte means?
No, just 1 second. Let me get through the traumas that you've disposed upon me one at a time here, right? So, did you say it was her boyfriend who wasn't the kid's father who ended up getting given the kids?
In both cases, the man got children that he was not the biological father.
So I'm not being funny. Through my work, we have spoken to many mothers and many survivors of parents who are groomed for access to their kids. How the hell can we not argue that these mothers can be systematically groomed to get access to their kids? Abuse takes place. The mother reports it through these groups in this corrupt system. These law firms are using this system to put the kids back in the hands of these abusers. The mum's boyfriend will take them. Did he worry? What? What do you mean it happens a lot? Don't tell me that. Like, this is, like, don't get me wrong. If we're talking like, oh, mum got arrested because she's off her nut and she was speeding and she goes to jail and the loving boyfriend looks after the kids, brilliant, right? No problem. But we're talking about abuse. We're talking about abused kids. We're talking about kids who are being, just to be clear, we're talking about kids who are being abused. The mother is reporting the abuse, and then the mother suddenly turns into public enemy number one. They turn into, like, what? Do you think that? Oh, shut up, Ron. I can't process this. So, yeah, please. Thank you.
Family court failure, a survivor's condensed testimony. This is the anonymized account of a mother whose child was failed by the family court system. After escaping a sexually abusive and coercively controlling partner, the mother sought legal protection when her child, then a toddler, began disclosing SA. Despite repeated disclosures over years to trusted adults, play therapists and the police, including a formal ABE interview, the family court dismissed these concerns, silenced police investigations, and ultimately ordered a transfer of residence to the father. Psychologists known for promoting parental alienation theory diagnosed the mother as emotionally abusive without any valid clinical grounds, citing childhood memories as pathological. A second world-renowned psychiatric expert contradicted these claims, affirming the mother's psychological stability, but the court refused to admit this evidence. The child continued to disclose abuse after living with the father, but professionals ignored or suppressed these reports. When the child fled to the mother after a violent assault by the father, the court enforced a recovery order. The child suffered a breakdown and was physically restrained in hospital while screaming threats of suicide. Despite extensive evidence of harm, family court decisions favoured the father, dismissing the child's voice and safety. Despite the child then being deemed Gillick competent, the mother and child remained deeply traumatised by the cumulative failure of judges, social services, CAFCAS and court-appointed experts. This testimony is a call to end the silencing of abuse survivors in the family court.
Listen, I think it's best for you to explain to the people what it is you're reading, because I'm not being funny. I don't want to come across as an idiot here, but I'm so mad, Victoria.
That was Alexandra Hall. Obviously, it's an alias. I'm not giving anybody's real name. I sent you this Gillick competency earlier. So the courts use Gillick. If they want your child to be Gillick competent, so it favours them, they'll make your child Gillick competent within 2 seconds. if it doesn't favour them and your child is guilt competent, for example, is old enough to understand what's happening, and they say what they want to stay with their mummy, they're deemed not guilt competent. Okay, so they use everything in their favour. These psychological reports, I had one. Oh, what's come across in many of these cases, we have borderline personality disorders. So the local authorities hire their own psychologists, and to win their cases. So many of us, mine was £1,400. We have our own, which, you know, it deletes out theirs because we don't have borderline personality disorder. It's the same words. I've seen the same mothers, these mothers use it. They've been telling me their story. It's the same words. We have borderline personality disorders. Now, you know, shall I go on? Do you want another one?
Yeah, listen. I just want to let everybody know, like, I've been doing this a long time, and I can understand it when it's criminal enterprise, right? Right. You can understand that to some people, they're just monsters, right? So selling a person or a kid, it's just business, right? Business. This is the government. This is the maddest thing I have ever been involved in, Victoria. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, the criminal stuff, it all makes sense. You understand some people are monsters, some people are in it for the money. It makes sense. But this...
Yeah, but the thing is, what's happening is the taxpayers, part of their tax goes, and they're quite happy to pay tax, to have a child protection system, so that, you know, if we think our children are at risk, we ring the police. Everybody thinks social services is a child protection service. Okay, now it definitely is not there to protect children. It's there so that they can get their bonus grants from the central government, get these children on care orders. Social service, what are they called? Social workers can then start up foster agencies, and then they can sell their foster agency down the road for over 100 million because they know.
Do you think that they're protected as well by the beauty of how mental this sounds? Because most people are going to be like, "Come on, this can't be true. Where's everybody talking up about this?" Well, they're gag ordered, so nobody can talk up about this. And I think that's a veil of protection that they might have had for a while, because it just sounds so unreal.
No, but Ron, they're hiding behind court judgments. Okay, so a social worker said to me, "But you coach your daughter to make all those allegations."
Oh my
no,
God.
I didn't. Well, that's what the judge said in his findings. I don't give a damn if the judge said that in his findings, but that's what we all think because the judge said it. But you told the judge to say that because you're controlling this system.
Oh man, like I just lived through you sitting in front of that social worker using that condescending tone with you, and just imagined like it playing out in my head. Like, I just can't. Oh, but that's what the judge said. Okay, right.
And I said, but you fixed the case. The case was fixed. And you see, back in the day, they were talking like 15 years ago. Now, this is what I wanted to say. Like, when they took my daughter, and I just thought, wow, that was so slick. It's like they were all maneuvering themselves, and they all knew the outcome, and that was so slick. And I sat there and I said to myself, they've done that before. I'm not the first woman they've done this to, because it was so slick, and they all had these things. And snapshot. They were using all these words, snapshot, the snapshot, and this, and blah blah blah, and then the psychologist, and then the social worker knocking the water down when she was trying to give evidence. She knocked it over 4 times, and then the psychologist was coughing. Oh, they just said, oh, you're so ill. Oh, I'll let you go. You know, and it's all like, it was really bizarre.
Victoria, so that's even scarier, man. Like, if we're talking about a system that's so refined, right? You've got to understand, it's one thing if you've got a bad apple in the social services, but when you have a system, Victoria, that has people knocking over glasses and coughing over you, you understand that this is beyond a refined system. This is like a, hey everyone, and welcome to how to be an evil son for the government, and today we're going to learn how to interrupt testimonies of mothers. Like,
yeah. So when I said to myself, then I always myself, they're going to do it again. They're going to again. In fact, this is how they operate. That's when I started investigating, and then I started to get really arrested. Really arrested. I know exactly how Tommy Robinson feels, because I've been there. I've felt the same way. I've got a testimony here from Josh.
Yeah, please.
Okay,
yeah,
so
please
he's
do.
one of the children. He's one of the children in the system.
Oh, Victoria, can I just ask, before you do that, can I just ask very quickly, is there an other side of the coin where this is happening to dads? Because I'd like to finish on that if there is any. But read those testimonies too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a condensed summary of a teenager who wanted to vary previous family court orders that compel him to live with his father, despite a long history of alleged abuse, neglect, and distress. He expressed urgent concerns for his safety and well-being, requesting that the court consider it without notifying his father due to credible fear of retaliation. He has lived with his father since the court order in 2012, which he has consistently opposed. He recounts persistent emotional, physical, and psychological abuse, including threats of harm, extreme control, isolation, and deprivation of basic needs. He describes being silenced in previous proceedings, denied the opportunity to give evidence, his views misunderstood or ignored, many, and experiencing manipulation by expert witnesses. He alleges that psychologists report bias due to his father's manipulation, and that court decisions have been based on a false portrayal of family dynamics. During 2019, he took steps to seek independent legal advice without parental influence, confirming his understanding of the legal process and implications. He denies any coaching by his mother and asserts that his desire to live with her is based solely on his own lived experience. He highlights the stark contrast between homes. His father's household is described as controlling, unsafe, and emotionally barren. His mother's as nurturing, safe, and supportive. He identifies specific educational, social, and emotional detriments stemming from his father's care and expresses a desire to move schools to improve his academic performance and well-being. He describes once being a good and dedicated student who enjoyed all sports and had many healthy friendships, all stripped away from him by his father, the family court, and professionals. He also details inappropriate and disturbing behaviour by his father during family holidays and within the local community. He recounts how his allegations of sexual abuse raised both as a young child and more recently were not believed or acted upon. He remains isolated without meaningful friendships or social outlets and describes daily life as defined by fear, punishment, and deprivation. He sought through the proper channels, a safe, supportive, and stable environment for the remainder of his childhood, and asked the court to honour his voice, autonomy, and rights as a maturing adolescent. Once again, he was denied. He is now currently living in hell and deprived of any relationship with his mother or maternal family.
Like, hearing the child's version, how is that helping anyone, government? sorry, this is the only way Ron knows how to process this. If any of the mothers and people who are involved with Victoria are watching this and you're like, who is this guy? Ron always sounds better once he's had a week to process Victoria's information. Ron hunted down horrible people and has been for many, many years. But this, I don't know how to process all this, because if we've seen a stream of children's testimonies where they were like, this was brilliant, life is great. Sure, we've got a whole bunch of, we got to question that. When we're talking about a system that is robbing children of a good life, love, tearing children away from mothers, this system is only supporting one thing, and it's trauma. That is what this system is supporting. And I'm really sorry, but I know how to deal with every other type of monster I've ever came up against, Victoria. Cartels, fake child modeling agencies, dark web consortiums, groups, all of that, no problem. We need to do something massive for this, Victoria. I can't go into next year knowing I've not given this my best shot. I cannot do it. This is so triggering, so enraging, and I'm sorry. You're talking to a guy, government, who has looked into the darkest business models, systems, and way of facilitating horrific content and transportation of children. And this is the most slick version of that I've ever seen. There's no denying it. There is no way you can tell me this is not to facilitate something. And I'm going to find out what it is. Okay, and it's not going to be nice, because this is the government. And I'm sorry, I'm really triggered. I try to be as professional as I can, but Victoria, it's horrific. Now, I want everyone to know who wants a voice, who wants a platform. We may be adjusting how we do the shows. We'll give it another shot, but I want to do this project. I also would like to do panels. I want to say to everyone out there that's scared or worried when it comes to making and producing content and getting your story out there, there's wonderful things we can do with AI and voices and all this stuff to make it an engaging documentary, because we have to do this. And I just want to put, just so everybody knows, I've just spent the last 4.5 years working on the last documentary I did. So pretty dedicated to these things, and I'm really triggered, and I'm really angry, and I'm really upset, and I'm embarrassed, and I'm ashamed, and I feel icky, because traditionally you got to worry about your kids. You phone the police, right? There's a system in play here. Phone my lawyer, phone whatever. But when you're dealing with the people that pay all those people's paychecks, and you've been gagged, what is this facilitating? Like, someone does something wrong, you put them in jail. What is this facilitating? Why would they put gag orders on this? Why is it a secret court? It's not good enough to explain the system and what happens and the routines and how it all happens. I need this hard explained to me by someone who's balls deep in the law, okay, as to why this is happening. Okay, and I'm telling you now, I'm going to find one of you. And if there's any lawyers out there that wants to be part of this anonymously, to dig into the legal side of it all, to explain to us, okay, so here's the old law. This is where it's being abused. This, all of that, because we have got a really good opportunity to build some traction and drop this at the end of the year. And by the time this drops, I'll have released between 4 and 5 documentaries between then to build up the traction just from myself. I'm really, really angry, and
I've got this lady didn't have time to give me a testimony.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Levin. Right? We can do everything so anonymously. That's the beauty of it. So if I find a lawyer who's kick-ass but can't be involved because he doesn't want to get tied into stuff, you just have to take my word for it that my source is who I say they are. And luckily, when it comes to exposing and investigations, I've got a 100% success rate. 100%. Like, there's no dinks in my armor when it comes to false news or narratives or the way I've done my operations in the past, everything. And again, this is actually dead air. There's been moments where I'm so shocked Victoria's not saying anything, and there's really dead air in my streams. That is how affected I am by all this. And is there dads out there as well affected by things like this too, that you know of, Victoria? Now I know, is it like a war between the mums and the dads, me bringing that up? I hope it's not. But is there another side of the coin that you know of?
Well, I've just got to focus on what I know, and my campaign really is mothers.
That's fine.
Obviously within the family court, with the forced adoptions, there are fathers involved in that.
Victoria, you're allowed to be dragged through the things you've been dragged through, see what men's support groups can do to take children away from their mums, and be allowed to have only focused on the mums in your journey. I would say that most of the mums here couldn't give a rat's ass what's happening to dads out there. I'm sure they've got some pretty foul tastes in their mouth for what dads are capable of, and I would understand it, so don't worry. But if there is anyone out there, or anyone indeed who's been affected like this, throw your name in the hat.
Very few men go through what we go through.
I was just asking. I was aware of how possibly triggering the question was, so I just wanted to just ask it quickly at the end, towards the end. Sorry, because.
How long have I got? Because can I read? Well, Zoe Dronfield, she's a friend of mine. I met her in London.
Yeah, keep reading, man. Just absolutely keep reading.
Well, this is public, so it's Zoe Dronfield, and I bless her. I just actually texted tonight, and I said, "Can you do a short testimonial of your case?" So you can Google Zoe. I haven't read this yet, so I'm going to read it for the first time myself.
Okay.
This is the account of Zoe Dronfield, a mother and professional who was failed by the family court system. In 2014, after surviving an attempted murder by her ex-partner, Jason Smith, a serial perpetrator of domestic abuse, Zoe was dragged through the family court system. Smith was remanded in custody immediately, meaning there was no immediate risk to Zoe's children. However, her other ex-partner, the father of her 4-year-old daughter, exploited this traumatic event to remove the child from Zoe's care. While Zoe lay in hospital, having been stabbed and stamped on, her ex-partner obtained an emergency ex parte hearing. Zoe was not even able to attend. Under the guise of a concerned visitor, he approached her hospital bed with flowers, whispered, "You've done it now. You'll never see her again."
Oh, wow.
And placed the court papers on her bed. He got this hearing without any checks on him. Just a badly handwritten application full on uncorroborated allegations against Zoe. Despite being heavily injured, Zoe recognized the danger in what was happening. When she learned that her ex had gained interim custody, she wrote directly to the judge with her bandaged hands, complaining this was not the act of a loving father. Just 2 weeks later, Zoe discharged herself from hospital to attend court. The judge, clearly frustrated by 2 litigants in person, ordered that Zoe's daughter remain with the father, granting Zoe only limited contact overnight on Tuesdays and 5 hours on Saturdays. Zoe and her daughter's father had not been together for several years, and there had been a history of domestic abuse perpetrated by the daughter's father. Zoe was the breadwinner and sole carer for both her daughter and her 8-year-old son. There was never any suggestions of removing her son, who remained under the care with the full support of his father, family and friends. So why did the court split the siblings and assume the mother was at fault? Zoe felt punished for being a victim, but knew she had a battle ahead. She instructed a legal team and endured over a year of litigation, during which her ex attempted to obtain their daughter's passport to take her to Dubai, removing her from the jurisdiction entirely. Changed her doctors, dentists, anything to be disruptive to Zoe, not in his daughter's interest. Zoe was also summoned to appear in Coventry Family Court for a hearing about her daughter on the same day she was witness and victim in her own case in Warwick Crown Court. I tried to speak to someone at the court and said I can't be in two places at once. No one could give me a straight answer or point to a person who had authority to deal with this. You are consistently put in a no-win situation. It's mind-boggling. Zoe filed an appeal. Thankfully, a new judge saw through the lies. Zoe spent £14,000 defending herself just to prove she was a good mother. This is not justice. This is legal abuse by perpetrators sanctioned by the court. Zoe has since campaigned for serial offenders to be placed on a register akin to the sex offenders register and for transparency in the family court system. There is no recourse for failures, Zoe says. Where do you go? Any appeal goes to the judge you are complaining about. It's a closed door, and in my view, anything done in secret, like the family courts, harbours abuse. They claim secrecy is to protect children, but how are they being safeguarded when they are repeatedly placed in harm's way? Zoe eventually regained full custody by invoking Section 91(14) through the order. Though the order was not granted, the threat that her ex might lose the ability to bring further vexatious claims through the courts was enough to deter him. Zoe says the court processes must be changed. We need transparency and accountability for decisions made. It cannot be right that when a child is removed, no one is checking if this was the right decision and if they are safe. And the disbelief of victim testimony, often when there is evidence, is shocking. Misogyny and victim blaming is the core of our family justice system. We should be deeply ashamed. Zoe has written about this ordeal in more detail in her book, Mind Over Manipulators. Her wish is that her book gives hope to those going through family court and hopes that one day this adversarial system will be updated and support victims.
Yeah. The fact that you can just keep going and going with these, it shows just how rampant this is. And I'm going to get something planned out for this week, Victoria. We'll do another show. We'll test it with some different key points. We'll see what YouTube does. Then I'm going to put up a page on my website, and we'll start putting this together. We really need to. We really need to.
Should I change my name? They obviously don't like Victoria Haige. Shall I call myself Lily Langtree or something?
You need to. Well, we'll discuss this offline, but you need to personify yourself. And I'll listen. I'll speak to you offline, because there's ways to weaponize what they're doing against them, right? That will bolster you. But I just wanted to see tonight if the same thing would happen, and it did. It's wild. So look, Ron knows what he's going to be doing. We've got big home.
Are you cutting me off now? I need to say something.
No, I'm not cutting you. No, I'm not cutting you off right now. Just give me 30 seconds. Don't worry. So I just want everybody to know, collectively on Discord, I want us working together, figuring out and putting together a list of people that would be interested in supporting the documentary release, whether they are influencers, YouTubers, whether they're journalists, whatever. They don't have to put their name to anything, but will they be willing to share the marketing tools? Because I can't stress enough how messed up this is. And again, there's better words than messed up, but I feel like my brain's been punched into a pulp. The mothers, the children who are out there listening to this, I want to do everything I can to help you. And if that's make a documentary, if it's help you put things out there, whatever, I'm at your service, because it's just, the Sutton's up to something. Somebody's up to something, okay? Somebody's up to something, Victoria, okay? And you guys have got your kids taken off you, and focus on that. Somebody's up to something. Now, Victoria, please say what you would like to say. Sorry.
Okay, I just want to thank all those brave mothers that have contacted me since last week and have pulled together all this information. and have helped me tell their stories, and they've been so brave. I've set up a group. It's called Warriors. Obviously, we're warriors, and yeah, I want to thank them, and I also want to tell you what happens to the children. What happens to the children when they age out of the system?
Okay.
So the testimony with the one that's been imprisoned 5 times, when her daughter was 17, she went back home to her mum. She didn't see her daughter for several years. I think it was about 8 years. And when she was 17, she went back to her mum. And there's a mother that fled to Spain. She took all her kids with her, and they got an international arrest warrant or something, and they managed to get all the children back into the UK. And she lost her children, but the girl, one of the girls, when she was 17, she got herself to the airport. She got on a plane and she went to her mum, and she's with her mum. And these are great stories. The girl went back to her mum when she was 17. The older boy, who wasn't the man's son, she doesn't have a relationship with him. They become, it's trauma. It's trauma bond mind control. So because their minds are so young when they're taken away from their mummies, they can be brainwashed to believe whatever.
Are they gag ordered?
Sorry?
Are the kids gag ordered? Are the children gag ordered?
I don't think the children are gag ordered, but some of these children are very traumatized. And I can say the son, you know, because their brains are so young. If you're being told your mother's dangerous, your mother's a witch,
right.
Your mother's abused
I'm
you,
with
your
you.
mother didn't want
I'm with you. But
your
what
mother,
I mean is,
yeah.
If we take out the percentage that have been brainwashed and are too traumatized and all the rest of it, if any of the children are listening, right, and you're grown up now and you feel like no one has listened to this, we are here for you too. If there's no gag orders in you and you want to push back, we are here for you too. We can do a whole separate thing with that, but just know I want to take this from all angles. So trust me, the more voices that are screaming the reality of this, the louder it will be and the better the impact. And it's been a long time since I've been this triggered, Victoria. I'm not going to lie to you. Like it's overwhelming.
Many of these children just want their mum, obviously, you know. And can you imagine my daughter? She was 6 when she was
grown-up children. I mean, the children who are now adults. I mean, I don't mean like we're going to bring on 14-year-olds who are traumatized and in the system. I mean, anyone who's grown up and they've come through it all. If there's anybody out there that is now legally an adult and wants to speak their mind, they're more than welcome to. It's really what I was meaning. Let me just recombobulate what I'm saying.
Okay. So my daughter, for example, she was 6 when she was taken. And the things, I've got all the records, all the court records, the things that she was told about me were so cruel. They was very cruel, because I spent the whole of the rest of my life fighting to try and get her back. Now, obviously, social services know this. You know, they're putting appeals, and I went on radio and I spoke out in Parliament, and I spoke in Parliament Square. I spoke publicly. I've been harassed the whole time.
Yeah. We've got about 4 minutes, Victoria. Just so you know.
Sorry.
We're down to about 4 minutes. Just so you know, I just don't want to cut you off abruptly. That's all.
Okay. Hopefully, I don't get to the end then. So she was told I abandoned her, that I only wanted my new baby and I didn't want her anymore.
That is so twisted, man. It's so twisted. So twisted.
That I was dangerous, that they charged me with attempted kidnap of her. And she was so frightened that she made a den underneath her bed. They took less than 12 weeks to make her fearful of me from taking her, because that's what got me in prison. I saw her in a petrol station and I spoke to her, and that got me the 3-year prison sentence. But the fact, when I saw her, she looked at me as if she was looking at a ghost, as if I was dead, and that like I'd come alive, and she was so scared of me. And I was very heavily pregnant at the time, and I ended up being rushed into hospital. I had severe pains in my stomach, and it was just shock. My body had gone into shock. And you can cut me off whenever you want, because if I get to the end of this story, everybody's going to go absolutely wild, and they, you know.
Look, sadly, we've got another show at 9 o'clock, right? But we need to carry on with this, all right? And I'm sorry that we've ran out of time today, Victoria. But we'll talk.
If my daughter, I'm not causing a scene, darling, like your daddy always used to say. Your mum is causing a scene. Oh, she's dangerous. Oh, she's been in prison. Darling, I'm not causing a scene. I'm not just doing this for you.
Oh, no, trust me. I could spot a crazy pretty well, okay? Like, Ron has interviewed genuine monsters, like on encrypted networks, on the dark web, who are monsters, Victoria, monsters. And you're just a regular lady, right?
Well, I'm just going to say to my daughter, I'm just going to say to all those children, I'm not going to stop until some authority comes and tells you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because all these lies that you've been told over all of these years, the truth, somebody is going to come and tell you the truth. And when you realize that you were taken away from your loving mummy or protector, let's hope you get as angry as I get, and let's get a class action, and let's go and sue this lovely government, shall we, all together, like the post office people.
Hell yeah. And I just want to say to everybody, I'm about to do my next show, the Surviving Life podcast. I'm going to be announcing my new documentary, which comes out on the 30th. How Could They? Dana Foley's life, her untold story after her book, How Could She? Telling the story of her horrific ordeal with a PDF file ring in Edinburgh, with her mother at the center of all. Now, I'm just going to go and start the next stream so that I can end this stream. And I just want to say, actually, I can't. I need to help people set up. You will all get shunted over there. I'll see you over there. Victoria and I will be back regularly. Because, Ron, like, how can people sleep at night knowing this is going on? Like, how do you all, like, just, be quiet, end the show. Victoria, thank you so much for being here. To the mums who took part in this, and to the dude, the kid, I'm sorry, I'm triggered. Thank you so much. We're going to try and do our best to awareness, change, whatever. So an angry Ron is coming. Okay, that's all you need to know, government. An angry Ron is coming. Okay. Thank you all. Like and subscribe. You're all